I have a question. What if space travel became instant? Imagine closing your eyes on Earth and opening them in the very same moment to find yourself beneath the crimson skies of Mars, watching the frozen rings of Saturn swirl above you, or drifting among the golden clouds of Jupiter without feeling the weary passage of time that has always separated us from the stars. This idea is not simply about speed, it is about erasing distance itself, removing one of the oldest barriers of human existence. For as long as we have looked upward, the gulf between planets has defined what is possible and what is not. But if that gulf were reduced to a step across a threshold, if the universe itself folded to our will, everything we know about life, society, and even meaning would change forever. Today, travel beyond Earth is painfully slow. To reach Mars demands months of exposure to radiation and confinement. To reach the nearest star would take longer than all of human history. Our physics insists that nothing can move faster than light. Yet if instant travel became real, relativity itself would be forced to bend, because this would not be speed, it would be something else, something that bypasses the very fabric of space. Perhaps it would be a portal, perhaps a manipulation of dimensions we cannot yet imagine, perhaps a quantum leap scaled beyond the microscopic world. Whatever the mechanism, the result would be the same. Distance would collapse into irrelevance, and the universe would open as a vast and immediate landscape. The first change would be psychological. For generations, humanity has stared at the stars with longing, convinced that they were unreachable. That longing shaped our myths, our religions, our art. Suddenly, every star would become a door, every world a destination as close as the nearest street. The awe of the night sky would not vanish, but transform into something more intimate, a confrontation with infinity itself. Dreams would become choices, and choices demand responsibility in ways that dreams never can. Societies would feel the tremor of this new reality almost at once. Resources that drive conflict on Earth, such as energy, minerals, and water, could be sought on lifeless moons and asteroids. Nations might scramble to claim new territories, and with a single step, entire planets could be occupied. Power would shift rapidly as the old barriers of geography and borders dissolve. Security itself would change, because if anyone could appear anywhere at any time, the meaning of defense would collapse. New systems would need to be created, perhaps networks of controlled gateways or laws enforced across planets, though how such control could truly be maintained remains doubtful. With infinite access comes infinite risk. Yet beyond politics lies the transformation of daily life. Imagine a child deciding to visit the mountains of Mars after school, or families separated across planets meeting for dinner every evening as though oceans and orbits no longer matter. Identity would stretch across the stars. Would we still call ourselves citizens of Earth? Or would we divide into Martians, Jovians, or wanderers who belong nowhere and everywhere at once? Culture would evolve in unimaginable ways, influenced by alien skies and landscapes. Art would respond with new forms, inspired by vistas of sapphire oceans beneath alien suns, or frozen deserts lit by twin moons. Education would transform as well. Students would no longer read about the rings of Saturn. They would stand beneath them. Lessons in geology could involve walking ancient cliffs on untouched worlds. Knowledge would no longer be abstract, it would be lived. Such access might spark a golden age of discovery, a renaissance where curiosity flourishes because the barriers to experience are gone. Yet darker possibilities lurk beneath the wonder. If travel requires no time, then war requires no distance. Conflicts could erupt on planetary scales, battles no longer limited by logistics or supply. The destructive reach of humanity would grow beyond measure. Environmental consequences would also follow. At first, there might be relief, as industries move to barren asteroids instead of fragile forests. But history warns us that abundance often fuels excess, and with countless worlds at our fingertips, the temptation to exploit without restraint would be nearly irresistible. Morality would be tested as never before. The decisions about who may travel, who may colonize, and who may control new worlds will define not only our society, but the legacy of our species. Instant travel would also raise profound questions of time and causality. If we bypass space itself, do we risk altering the flow of time? Could paradoxes emerge where travelers arrive before they leave, or where civilizations evolve unseen in the blink of an eye? Such mysteries reach beyond science into the very heart of existence, and perhaps they may never be fully resolved. Still, amidst uncertainty lies the promise of wonder. Picture standing on the edge of the Milky Way, looking back upon its spiral arms glowing in the darkness, knowing that home is only a thought away. Picture oceans of methane on Titan shimmering under alien light, or mountains of diamond forming in the pressure of distant giants. And imagine touching them not in imagination, but in reality. Such experiences would expand the very definition of life. And yet, with such power comes responsibility. To hold the universe in our hands is also to hold its burden. The story of humanity has always been one of ambition and exploration, but also of conflict and greed. Instant travel would magnify both sides of this story. It could unite us as never before, erasing the borders that divide, or it could scatter us into isolation across the stars. The truth is that technology alone does not shape destiny. It is the choices we make, the wisdom we embrace, and the values we hold that determine the meaning of our tools. Instant travel would force us to confront ourselves more directly than ever before. Religion and spirituality would not escape the transformation. Some would see instant travel as divine gift, proof of destiny written in the cosmos. Others would fear it as temptation, a dangerous arrogance. But either way, the confrontation with infinity would demand new frameworks of belief. Humanity would no longer be earthbound, but citizens of the cosmos, and that shift would redefine our sense of purpose. On the level of the individual, the rhythm of life itself would change. Vacations could mean a walk beneath alien suns. Work could span galaxies without strain. Relationships could stretch across the stars without breaking. Exile would be impossible. Yet paradoxically, loneliness might deepen, as infinite choice can lead to infinite escape. The richness of this life would demand new virtues. Patience not in waiting, but in choosing. Gratitude not in scarcity, but in abundance. And discipline not in endurance, but in meaning. For to carry the stars is to risk forgetting their value. Perhaps the greatest discovery of all would not be a distant world, but ourselves, realizing that to step across infinity is also to confront who we are within. And so we return to the question that began this journey. What if space travel became instant? The answer is that it would give us the stars, but it would also hold up a mirror, asking us not if we can travel, but who we will become once we do. Because the universe does not ask if we can cross it in a heartbeat, it asks whether we are ready for the weight of such freedom. And as we look upward tonight, we must wonder if every door across the cosmos were opened. Which ones would we choose to walk through, and what would we leave behind when we do?